Hey guys, and welcome back to another video, and today to take a closer look at Apple Photos and Google Photos and find out which one is the best for you. So at this moment, my photo library is over 14,000 pictures. And for the past few years, I've been using Apple Photos to manage all our pictures and some videos as well. Now, actually is one of the main reasons that I'm still using an iPhone, but that's another topic. Now, on the other hand, Google Photos has improved a lot and it's getting closer and closer to Apple Photos. But guys, hopefully in this particular video, I'll be able to share with you guys that it's not at the same level of Apple Photos, and although it has some advantage over it, at this moment I'm still not ready to ditch Apple Photos to Google Photos, and that's mainly because of a few features that I will leave towards the end. So let's start with a comparison of these apps, and the first of all is in terms of installation. Google Photos has the advantage because of course we can install Google Photos both on iOS and on Android, while Apple Photos will only be able to install on iOS and Mac OS. On the other hand, Apple Photos has a desktop app which we can use on Mac OS, while Google Photos is only available on browsers. We can use on Windows and Mac, but only on a browser-based situation. And towards the end I will show you how I use the desktop app and how useful it can be in our daily usage in terms of pictures and videos. And starting with the organization, both apps are very similar. There's one thing that is reversed, which is the order. While Apple shows the most recent photos on the bottom, Google actually shows the most recent pictures on the top. Which one is right? I don't care. Both work and there are pros and cons, but it's a minor detail. Now on the Apple side, it organizes by time and location called Moments, and then it has collections and years. Now really quickly, Moments are pictures grouped by the same day in one or several locations, while collections are grouped by a few days or weeks, usually separated by different locations, and years of course shows all the pictures taken in each year. On the other hand, Google will give us 4 layout options, one being the comfortable mode, which will show us a continued timeline of all our pictures with actually a really nice design and a clean look. And then we will have the day, which will group photos by day, month, which will group photos by month, and of course year, which will group by year, but also mentioning the month. Now in terms of search, both applications do a really great job and they are improving every year. Nonetheless, I do believe that Google at this moment has the advantage. Now, for example, if I search on the Apple Photos for sky, it will do a great job and it will show us pictures that have sky on the background. Now, not every time is accurate, but most of the time it will do a great job. The same happens with words like water or pets, where it will show us great results. Now, on the other hand, Google Photos also show more or less the same results like Apple Photos for the same kind of words like sky, water or pets. But if we do a search with a more specific topic like mobile phones, for example, then Google actually will give us some results, as you guys will have the chance to see, and Apple shows nothing. And this is not the only example. There are a few others. For example, bikes, which is something that we use a lot. When we search on Google Photos, we will have results, while on Apple Photos, no results at all. So in here, Google Photos has the edge. Moving to the editing part of pictures, I do believe that Apple has the advantage, not because of the app itself, but the advantage that we have to use third-party apps. Now on Google Photos we will have the basic editing tools, and on Apple Photos we will find more or less the same editing tools, and to be honest, on a daily usage I do believe that it's more than enough for what we do with our pictures taken with our phones and our cameras. Now, the advantage comes to Apple, especially when we are free to install third-party apps either on iOS or macOS, and then be able to edit our pictures with more editing tools than what we have from the Apple Photos instead. And I'll give you an example. If we go to the desktop app, I can just pick any picture and then open with Photoshop, for example. I can do the edit that I want in terms of text, in terms of colors, in terms of image in general, and then when I close the image, it will be saved on my library and then it will be streamed to all my devices. Now, Photoshop is just one example, but if we imagine that we can install any app and use that particular app to edit our pictures on the fly and then save it to the library and stream to all the devices, this is just something that creates a huge advantage in terms of editing. Now, talking about sharing, I do believe that they are in par because there's not a lot that we can differentiate from one to another. I just press the share button on an iOS phone and it will bring me a menu where I can share everything to the most common social networks, and the same will happen on the Android side with Google Photos. And if I use Google Photos on my iPhone, I can do basically the same that I can do with Apple Photos. So here I do believe that we have a tie in terms of sharing. Now, moving to storage, this is not a tie and it's far from being a tie. Now, Google Photos will grant us free and unlimited storage if we don't mind to comply with their limits, and their limits are actually very acceptable. Pictures up to 16 megapixels and videos up to 1080, which I do believe that it's reasonable, and for most case scenarios will be more than comfortable. Actually, most of my videos are 1080 and my pictures, some of them are higher, but Google will compress them to 16 megapixels, and on the day-to-day usage we will not notice any difference whatsoever in terms of those pictures. On the other hand, Apple will give us 5 gigabytes of free storage, which, believe me guys, it will not be enough to store all our pictures. At this moment my tier is 50 gigabytes and I'm paying roughly €1 per month, which is totally worth it, but I'm paying while on Google Photos it's free. Now, moving to privacy, and I'm not going to waste too much time here because this is a topic that has been debated a lot on the web. My opinion is really simple. Apple, in terms of privacy, is more secure than any other company, especially Google. Nonetheless, what Google will do with my pictures, I do believe, at least for what I've read, that is more than acceptable. And if they scan my pictures to find out which brand of t-shirts or sneakers or shorts do I use and then target ads to myself using those informations, to me not really problematic. But this is my opinion because based on our browsing experience with cookies and so on and so forth, we already are giving all that information to companies. So if Google wants to find out the brand of my t-shirt, I don't really care. Now, moving to something that to me is really important, and here definitely Apple has the advantage. And this feature is called People or Faces, depending on the app that we are using. Apple Photos organizes really well people by its own faces, and so does Google. But there is one feature that on Apple stands out. It simply lets me organize people by the importance that those people have in my life, for example. So I can rearrange the way that I want faces, which one I want first, which one I want second. I can put the few bigger and the other smaller, so it gives me, it's really simple, but at the end of the day this is something really important. On the other hand, Google just displays the photos randomly and will not allow me to rearrange the way that I want my faces of people right over there. So I may have a picture of a cat on top and then I will have my kids at the bottom, which is something random. I just wish that Google Photos would give me the ability to move around the faces for the people that I do believe that are more important to me. The only tool that I've got here is actually hide and show faces, but basically that's about it. Now, if we finish the video right over here, I would say that Apple Photos, Google Photos, they are hand in hand. One is better here, the other one is better there, but so far all these situations that we saw are pretty similar. The thing from Photos is annoying, but I do believe that some people will trade that instead of paying, for example. Nonetheless, there is something that it is what makes me stay with Apple Photos, and that has to do with slideshows and animations that I can do on Apple Photos app, both on iOS and macOS, that I can't do on Google Photos. With Apple Photos, for example, I can just go to the Memories tab, and then it will provide me automatic slideshow that I can play of certain days or events, and I can simply play it, or also I can make a few changes here and there to photos, music, duration, and so on. But that's not all. If I go to Faces and select one of my kids, for example, and this is a huge feature to us at least, I can quickly show and sorry about the redundancy, slideshow of all his photos with a really cool animation. And guys, this is not all, because if we use one of our laptops or desktops with macOS and the Apple Photos there, I can go to any album and select to play a slideshow, which will give us 7 different animations or styles. And the best of all, at least to us, and we use this a lot here, and I've shared this on so many videos, is that, or the ability to use one of these Macs, like a laptop for example, and then stream to any Apple TV that we have on our home, or any Android TV, which is the way that I prefer, because as I said, Apple TV is very limited compared with an Android TV box. But the point is that if I have family or friends here, I can just grab an album from the last Christmas and share a really interesting slideshow with background music, with the pictures from the last Christmas or the last dinner that we had together. So it creates a really great environment on a living room without having to share my phone or anything else. I can just point people to the TV and have everything on that big screen. On the other hand, Google Photos is really poor in terms of animations. They have several options, and they also have one thing that they call Assistant, which will create some movies from pictures, will create some GIFs, will create some slideshows. But guys, the slideshows that we have available on Google Photos at this moment are really basic, no animation at all. And although there's also an option to upload to YouTube to create a slideshow, it's cumbersome and it doesn't work as well. So in conclusion, guys, in my opinion, everything is almost in par in terms of Google Photos and Apple Photos, with the exception that we can do a lot in terms of displaying the pictures after we have them organized in our library. It doesn't matter if it's on iOS to the TV, if it's only on our iOS device, or even better, if we are displaying from macOS to an Android TV box, for example, to our living room, where everybody can just be watching and enjoying the content that we have. So at this moment, I'm still not ready to leave Apple Photos for Google Photos for everything that I mentioned, but I do wish that Google Photos improves and gets in par with Apple Photos, especially the way that we can rearrange people's faces, and also the way that we can stream to other devices, either a slideshow or a better animated movie. And honestly, when that happens, I will not have many more reasons to still buy an iPhone instead of an Android phone. And that is it. Hope that you guys enjoyed the video. And if you did so, don't forget that usual thumbs up. My name is Roberto Jorge, and as always, I'll see you guys on the next one.